A Living Man Declared Dead and Other Chapters was made over a 4-year period where I traveled around the world to over 20 different countries, and I documented bloodlines and their related stories. But my primary interest was in these different narratives that contribute to a study of fate and what determines our fate. The subjects of each chapter came from different ideas and sources, sometimes from fiction, and where I would be introduced to an idea and then see, does it exist in reality, which was the title chapter, in fact, which is about several individuals who were listed in the local village registry in Uttar Pradesh, India, as dead. So they do not exist according to all government paperwork. And yet I photographed them. So it was about this kind of mind scramble and surreality that exists for the viewer in experiencing the work and in their lives themselves. So I created this system by which I sort of organized the bloodline. And the reason bloodlines interested me in the first place is because it is this order that we all accept to be an absolute. In any culture, in any country, it is this one place where we absolutely believe in this order and its existence and feel we have proof and evidence of it. And we're actually living in a moment where science and genetics are starting to confront even that order, and it's breaking apart. In A Living Man Declared Dead, there are 3 components to each chapter. So on the left, there's a portrait panel where I systematically organize all the members of a given bloodline. In the middle is a text panel, which is designed in this scroll-like form, and that's where I give census-like information about all the individuals I photographed. And I also construct the narrative that's at stake and present annotations which correspond to the third panel, which is a footnote panel, in which the narrative is presented in a much more fragmented form. So you have these 3 languages of distribution of information sort of circling each other again and again. In this work, as in many of the works, there are several moments of absence. And by that I mean where I was rejected and I couldn't take the photograph that I wanted to for various reasons. Sometimes it was a woman who couldn't be photographed for religious and cultural reasons. In other cases, it was someone who didn't want to be associated with the narrative that I was exploring. These rejections and limits are, in many ways, a core of the work as well. It is about how far can I get with permission and with collaboration.
Il y a un lien extrêmement important et intrinsèque entre image et texte. Dans son œuvre, donc l'image, elle parle d'elle-même, mais c'est là où elle utilise astucieusement et avec une très grande intelligence cet écart qu'on peut avoir entre ce que l'image peut rendre et ce qu'elle dissimule en règle générale, et le texte va être une seconde porte qui va s'ouvrir.
I started thinking about search and ways in which search engines and ways in which information is distributed and collated and the ways in which hierarchies are established in the distribution of visual information. And since 1915, they have been collecting images associated with specific terms in over 12,000 folders. There'll be a folder on women and a folder on France. And they can be from high art, from advertising, from postcards. And this way of organizing information is very much a precursor to search and Google, which claim a certain statistical neutrality and function under algorithms, whereas the picture collection itself was determined by a number of individuals and their own individual hand and taste. I picked several folders from this image collection, and I photographed the contents of the folders laid out in quite geometric forms and oftentimes obscuring the images, showing how something like abandoned buildings, you can see the ubiquity of that kind of image. So you can see them all stacked together in this very geometric form, and you don't even need to see the rest of the image. You already have it in your head. You can imagine, you can fill in the gap because you've seen it so many times.
L'image est à la source d'abord des malentendus, et elle continue à nourrir les malentendus, et le travail de Tarine est de nous faire comprendre que toute image n'est qu'un support subjectif et qui peut en même temps nous renseigner, mais nous mener pour faire fausse route.
My other works all took several years to produce, and Contraband was an effort to do the exact opposite. So I see it much more as a performance piece where I moved into JFK for a full working week, Monday to Friday, on 24-hour rotations without sleep. And I documented every single item that was seized by customs, from passengers entering into the United States and mail entering into the United States. And it's an index of that fixed time period and looking at what these threats are and what the effort is being given to. When I went in there, I was expecting guns and drugs and the usual imaginations of a threat. The primary seizures were in fact counterfeit goods. It became clear that the current battlefield is economic, and there was this desperate effort to limit the proliferation of the copy and to protect brand identity that so many Western economies rely upon. As a photographer, I was taking a copy of a copy. The goods can't enter the United States, but the photograph can. And then I enter that photograph into another economy, the art economy. And it's all about these sort of games of financial value and how they play out. I had actually photographed in the Contraband room for American Index, but I had photographed 48 hours worth of agricultural seizures in one fixed image that was meant to look like a Dutch early still life painting of all these piles of foods and pig heads and African cane rats. And when I was there, I saw all of these other goods coming in, and I thought about it as a portrait of a global economy. In the end, it becomes this portrait of desire and this sort of flattening of desire. So many people chasing the same thing, whether it be to fall asleep with all the counterfeit Ambien coming through, the counterfeit steroids coming through, the counterfeit Louis Vuitton bags, and this repetition and this sameness in what everybody's hungering for. No matter how far I enter into something, I'm still going to be from another distance. So I don't really believe in there being some sort of center point.